My name is Sharmay Mitchell and this is a Sharmay Mitchell production. Right, so I'm going to explain to you how I make my stop motion videos, in particular the video called Push It, in which a seahorse delivers its babies. This video took me 7 hours to film. That's 7 hours to take 711 frames and edit them to match the pre-recorded audio. The audio was recorded a few days beforehand and took a couple of hours. But let's start at the very beginning. July 2020, I attended a stop-motion workshop run by Inanimators in conjunction with Brent, London Borough of Culture, and was given the task of creating a short stop-motion video lasting a few seconds. That's where the birthing seahorse idea came from. I made a basic storyboard for it, but I made a schoolgirl error in assuming I could use Play-Doh to make the seahorse character. The workshop facilitator did not advise me to use Play-Doh, but if you know me, I like to go rogue and try things out. Anyway, Play-Doh dried and cracked and I couldn't use it, so I put the whole idea on the shelf and ran with another idea featuring 2 foxes. Look lively, we're on! Fast forward 8 months, I made a very pretty plasticine seahorse and was about to start making its plasticine babies until seahorse said no. It randomly split in half, so I decided I had to revert back to paper characters like Mean Mr. Fizz and Dino Superstars. Go check my YouTube channel to see those. I have found filming the stop motion videos with paper characters is more time consuming, but nevertheless, quitters never win and I ain't no quitter. I needed to draw different variations of body parts to manipulate the character between frames to make it look like it was moving. I tend not to move the plasticine character's body parts because they just drop off. But with the paper character, I needed movement in the arms, the tail, the eyes to better depict the pushing actions and to make it look a bit more amusing. After making all the pieces that I needed to cut out, I looked at the storyboard again and then I recorded the audio. I watched voiceover artist YouTube videos for tips on how to get sound clarity with minimal interference in the absence of fancy recording equipment or a recording studio. And I ended up making a tent under the duvet and recorded pushing sounds into my phone using the BandLab app. After recording the audio, I saved it and edited the mastering for optimal clarity. Now for the stop motion. I laid down a piece of blue card on a flat surface for the sea background and lined up all the paper cutouts I needed for the stop motion frames. I had to position my phone above the seahorse. I used my phone's camera. My tripod doesn't really allow for this, so I wedged it between some really big books so my phone was suspended above the seahorse. I have a clicker that connects to my phone by Bluetooth, so I don't have to touch the phone screen each time I want to take a photo frame. But to be honest, I still touch the phone screen to replay what I have filmed and ensure it matches with the timing of the audio. I listen to the audio repeatedly to make sure the timing matches while I'm taking the frames. Now this is where I could have saved time. After recording the audio, I should have timed each sound to get an estimate of when certain movements would need to be made. For example, I should have timed each of the pushes so that I knew at what frame number to release baby seahorses from the pouch, and when to begin moving the seahorse into pushing stance. I use 12 frames per second. The more frames per second you use, the smoother the stop motion video will be. I could go higher, but the more frames per second, the longer it takes to make the video, and I'm more invested in the storytelling element and the fact that I can make these by myself without outside influence or massive expenditure, rather than getting the perfect visuals to look like a professionally made film. This ain't no Isle of Dogs, you know. I like that it's a bit rough around the edges sometimes. So for this video, what I ended up doing was taking frames and guessing where the pushes would go. When I filmed a little, I watched it back with the audio, and when the frames didn't align with the audio, I either copied and pasted existing frames to fill time until the seahorse needed to push, which is kind of cheating, or I cut out frames to make the visuals better align with the audio. It's not the recommended way to work, but as I said, I'm a bit of a rogue and I learned the hard way. The reason why it was more challenging for this particular video is because each time the seahorse pushed, it released more babies from its pouch. And once more babies were released, I couldn't copy and paste previous frames to fill time because they would have had fewer baby seahorses in shot. There's just so much stuff to think about with stop motion, even when you have a pretty basic setup like mine. My hat goes off to the patience of the people who have to work with much more complicated set and character designs and a higher number of frames per second. I edited this video mostly while filming it. I didn't work out the timing beforehand. I probably took over 1,000 frames but deleted a lot of them to align the visuals with the audio. I always take more frames than I need because I know I can get rid of them afterwards in editing. The worst thing to do would be to take too few frames and find that I need to fill some time, but I've now moved the characters and cannot get them back into the exact same position again in order to take a photo frame that blends well with what I already have. Sometimes in my videos you will notice slight jumping or things moving that shouldn't be moving. That's either because my hand has touched something it shouldn't have touched between frames when moving the characters around, my editing was sloppy, or the camera has slipped or moved in the tripod and I couldn't get it back into the exact same position again. I find it quite hard to manipulate the tripod sometimes. Probably just me faffing about. So that was the making of the Push It video. If you haven't seen the video yet, just know that I'm crying on the inside for your flagrant disregard for my art and labour, and hopefully that's enough to coerce you into going to watch it on my YouTube channel now. And if you like it, please share it. And if you share it, please like it and comment to let me know what you think of it, and if you have any suggestions or stop motion tips for me or ideas for new videos that you think I should make. Until next time, toodles!